Accessing peace. Existing without violence, with the ability to calmly resolve conflict. Downloading love. An overwhelming, deep, positive affection towards others. Activating liberty. Living your life as you see fit without infringing on the lives of others.
Welcome to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. I am your host, Darryl W. Perry, the Liberty Penguin, the Wombat, the uncut cocaine of libertarianism, the friendliest anarchist you will ever meet. And you know what day today is, right? Hopefully you do, and that is assuming you're listening on the day that I'm recording this, which is Friday. Well, Friday is the day that I normally answer your questions. But I did not have any that came in this week using that contact format, ama.fppradio.com, which means that basically I get to talk about whatever I want to talk about, which really I can do anyway because it's my show and that's kind of how things work. But, you know, like I like having a format of here's sort of, you know, the process, and Friday is Ask Me Anything Day. And I'm kind of glad that no questions came in, simply because it allows me to talk about something that I had been wanting to talk about anyway, and especially with the events from last weekend. And I went into some depth on Monday about this, but there seems to be something lacking from a lot of people, and that's really been highlighted over the last week or so. And again, it's something that I've noticed for a long time. And again, when I say it's something lacking, I obviously talking general public, but also from people that fall into the libertarian sphere. And I feel I always have to define what I mean by libertarian sphere. That would be obviously the people that call themselves libertarians, also people that are classical liberals, people that are, social libertarians, if you will, people that might be anarchist of all stripes. And yes, there are many variations of anarchist, and contrary to what you may or may not have heard, and I'm going to assume here that there's a broader audience than just libertarians listening to this episode. But contrary to what you may have heard, anarchist doesn't mean violent thug. Anarchist actually means, from the Greek, without rulers. Doesn't mean without rules. It doesn't mean without morals. It doesn't mean without a conscience. It just simply means without rulers. And there are many various, stripes of anarchists. There are the anarcho-capitalists, the anarcho-communists, the anarcho-syndicalists, the anarcho-mutualists, the anarcho-feminists, the anarcho, fill in the blank. Basically, as long as they don't want someone ruling over other people, they technically are anarchists. All of them fall within the libertarian sphere. As much as some of the anarcho-capitalists might not like that the anarcho-communists exist, and they might disagree that, no, they don't belong in the sphere of libertarian. Nope. They're all in the sphere of libertarianism. And something that I've noticed, and it's really been highlighted, I would say, over the last couple of years, but it's really been prominent recently, and that is the lack of empathy. And I know it's something that I've talked about previously, and again, it's something that definitely needs to be talked about, and it needs to be talked about a lot. And again, normally on Fridays, I answer your questions. You can send those anonymously if you wish. You can give a name if you wish as well, using the contact form on the website, ama.fppradio.com. Before I get into talking about empathy, just a quick programming note here. Next Friday, and again, that's based on when I'm recording this on August 18th, the 25th of August, there will not be an episode. I will be traveling to and then at the New Hampshire Cannabis Freedom Festival, and most likely I will have a show on Monday the 21st. I'm trying to plan it to where I can actually get the show recorded, uploaded, and then go witness the wonderful thing that is the solar eclipse. Even though where I live in New Hampshire, it's not going to be a total eclipse, because the Earth, contrary to what some people say, the Earth is actually a globe. It's not this flat disk. So not everybody gets to see a total eclipse. I'm going to see a partial eclipse, and that is scheduled to begin at about 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Monday, which is generally about the time that I'm recording. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to, work it out to where I record a little early, get everything uploaded, and then definitely witness, the best part of that eclipse on Monday. So let's talk about empathy. And before we discuss what empathy is, let's define the terms. And this is something that's always good to do. It's always good to define terms, right? And now, obviously, there are certain terms that don't need to be defined. But when you're talking about emotions and you're talking about people's perceptions of things, it's always good to make sure that everybody's in agreement on what the words mean. Right? Good. So, empathy, from the Merriam-Webster's dictionary, the action of understanding, being aware of, being sensitive to, and vicariously experiencing the feelings, thoughts, and experiences of another person. Stay tuned. There's more here on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio.
Hey, this is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends radio show. I've been working with computer programmer Derek Slopey to create Fiend Phone. I'm using Fiend Phone right now to talk with and record one of my co-hosts in real time. Take it, Davi.
Hey, this is Davi Barker, and I'm 1,000 miles away from Michael, but we sound like we're in the same room.
We sure do, Davi. So, Davi, please tell the nice people more about Fiend Phone.
Fiend Phone is free, open-source software that opens up a global world of possibilities for collaborative, high-quality remote voice media production, and I'm digging it.
People can try the Windows beta version of Fiend Phone right now at fiendphone.com. But we're also raising money to vastly improve Fiend Phone and vastly improve independent talk media worldwide.
So go to fiendphone.com to help out. Who will build the audio roads? We will, with your help.
That's fiendphone.com. FEENPHONE.com. Foxtrot, Echo, November, phone.com.
Fiend Phone. I never knew remote audio could be this good.
This is Paige Peterson from MaidSafe, and you're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com, talking about empathy. And again, before getting into why it's important to begin by understanding what the word means. Again, empathy, as defined by Merriam-Webster. Empathy is the action of understanding, being aware of, being sensitive to, and vicariously experiencing the feelings, thoughts, and experience of another, of either the past or present, without having the feelings, thoughts, and experience fully communicated in any objectively explicit manner. Why practice empathy? Well, here are several reasons why it's important to empathize with other people. And now, empathy and sympathy are not the same thing. Sympathy is, oh, wow, I feel bad that happened to you. Empathy is, I know what that feels like. And now maybe you don't actually know what that feels like, in which case you should not say, I know what that feels like, but try to imagine yourself in that scenario. There's the old statement of, don't judge a man until you walk a mile in his shoes. Similar sort of thing. Put yourself in the shoes of the other person, or in, and again, shoes is a metaphor for situation. So, try to imagine if you were on the receiving end of whatever the thing is. And that is how you're able to empathize, to where you put yourself in that situation. Unless maybe you've actually been in that situation, in which case you don't have to imagine. But again, here are some of the reasons why it is important. You'll be more likely to treat people that you care about the way you wish that they would treat you. This is basically another wording of the golden rule of do unto others as you would have them do unto you. When you can empathize with someone, you're more likely to treat them the way you would want to be treated if you were in their shoes. Empathy will also allow you to better understand the needs of people around you. And again, this is slightly different, but it's something that very important. Now, I'm not necessarily a fan of, and I preface this by saying I'm also not an opponent of, what is often referred to as nonviolent communication. And the reason that I'm not a, quote-unquote fan of it is it comes off a little contrived, but I completely understand what is attempting to be done through the use of nonviolent communication. So, don't get me wrong. When I say I'm not a fan of it, and this is that weird binary thing that some people want to force people to live in of, oh, you don't like this, so therefore you must be against it. Well, no, I can just sort of be agnostic to the idea. And again, I understand what is trying to be done with nonviolent communication, to where it's about addressing needs. But again, the way most practitioners of nonviolent communication wind up speaking, it sounds very contrived, and it just comes off kind of strange. But again, empathy helps you understand the needs of other people. And you can ask the question of, which of your needs aren't being met without, reciting some formulaic sort of thing that a lot of times you hear with people that use nonviolent communication. Empathy will also allow you to more clearly understand the perception that you create in others with your words and actions. And again, this is something that is very important, especially in this, digital media age that I like to refer to as the second Dark Ages. And you might be asking, why are you referring to it as the second Dark Ages? We've got all of the information that we want at the, touch of a finger on our phone. True, but what happens if your hard drive crashes? What happens if, the server that you had all of your stuff on goes down? Everything is lost, and then in several hundred years or several thousand years, when the technology that we're currently using is obsolete and nothing has been transferred to, some manner that people can use, all right, oh, well, we've got all of these manuscripts of stuff from this time to this time, and then there's not really a lot going on, and then we've got more manuscripts of stuff, and then just nothing for a couple hundred years. wow, must have really been a dark period of humanity if they didn't record anything. But no, we are recording stuff. We're just not doing it in physical form. We're doing it digitally. But again, in digital communication, nuance a lot of time is not caught up or not caught easily. Tone and inflection of voice, definitely not there when you're reading text. Sarcasm isn't picked up the same way when you're reading text online. And then you have the problem that, and I don't know if it's a thing of people intentionally misreading what other people are saying, or if it's just them reflecting their own biases to what they're reading. But again, empathy allows you to understand the perceptions that you create in others with your words and actions. And again, it will also help you realize whether or not someone that you're communicating with is responding, based on some bias that they have about what you're saying. Empathy will also help you understand the unspoken parts of your communication with others. And again, this is that the body language, the inflection of voice, facial cues, other sorts of things of that sort. You will also better understand the needs of your customers. You will have less trouble dealing with interpersonal conflict both at home and at work. Several other very important things that empathy helps you do. And then we'll talk about how to practice empathy here on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerous supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $1 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. That's fans.fppradio.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com. That's getcell411.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
Hey, welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. I am your host, Darryl W. Perry, the Liberty Penguin, the Wombat, the uncut cocaine of libertarianism. And we'll get back into the article about empathy and why it is so important here in just a second. But first, I want to make sure that I tell you about Roberts & Roberts Brokerage. They've been around since 1977, over 40 years. They've been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also have platinum and palladium. And they're a Bitcoin preferred business, meaning they want to wind up getting your Bitcoin. They don't feed the banks. They don't take credit cards. They are Bitcoin preferred. And to show that they are Bitcoin preferred, they have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760. That's 800-874-9760. Or visit online at rrbi.co. That's RRBI, as in Roberts & Roberts Brokerage Incorporated, rrbi.co. Getting back now into the article about why empathy is so important. Empathy allows you to more accurately predict the actions and reactions of people you interact with. You learn how to motivate people around you. You are able to more effectively convince others of your point of view. And again, this is all because it allows you to see things from their perspective. You also experience the world in higher resolution as you perceive through not only your own perception, but the perspectives of those around you. And you'll find it easier to deal with the negativity of others if you better understand their motivations and their fears. So how do you actually wind up practicing empathy? How do you put putting yourself in their shoes, understanding, being aware of, being sensitive to, and vicariously experiencing the feelings, thoughts, and experiences of others? How do you put that into action? Well, first, you need to listen. And what's the saying about you learn more when you listen than when you speak? Because when you're talking, you're almost never learning. It's very possible that you can learn while you're speaking, presuming that you're reading a text aloud that you had not previously read. But you need to listen, to understand where other people are coming from, which is basically, the base thing for being able to empathize is to understand where someone's coming from. You can't understand where they're coming from if you don't listen. Listen intently when people speak to you. Conversations, especially regarding heated topics, often form a rhythm of back and forth speaking, with each party starting a point just before the conversation partner has ended their point. The author here says, I'm sure you will recognize this pattern in yourself if you think about it. Before whoever is speaking has finished, you've already formulated your response, and you're just waiting to spit it out. And this is something that I mentioned on Monday about the people that listen to respond instead of listening to understand what is being said to them. Next time you find yourself in a conversation like this, where you're just having some back and forth with somebody, you're not listening to what they say, you're just waiting for them to stop so you can talk, slow down. Force yourself to actually listen to the words that you're hearing. And again, this is very important. Listening and hearing are two completely different words for valid reasons. You can hear the rain. You can hear a crowd. You can hear a lot of things, but how often do you actually listen? Most people, when they are, quote unquote, listening to the radio, they're hearing music. They're not listening to the music. They hear, oh, this has a really good beat, but they're not listening to the words that are being said. The song Margaritaville, it's become, like a party classic song, but if you actually listen to the words, it's a very depressing song with a very positive beat. I've actually got, I'm looking at it right now, a piece of art hanging up in the Nautilus, hangs on the ceiling, and it says, I like beautiful melodies telling me terrible things. Margaritaville definitely fits in that category, where a beautiful melody sounds like a very positive song, but it's actually very depressing. But most people never get that message because they are not listening to the song. They are only hearing the song. So when you're in a conversation, listen to the other person. Consider the speaker's motivation behind what they are saying. Consider the life and work experience that has led them to their current view. Respond visually and with sounds. So, like the okay, yep, but allow at least a second to pass before you respond verbally. Ask follow-up questions to better understand what their intention is. Hopefully, you'll need more time before you speak because you've been too focused on the speaker to start preparing your response. What else can you do to practice empathy? Stay tuned.
Why do they hate us? Is libertarianism compatible with Islam? Davi Barker answers these questions and more in Voluntary Islam and Other Essays. He advances the voluntarist cause with analysis of the confluence of values between Islam and libertarianism, as well as contemporary movements from the Tea Party to the Arab Spring. Voluntary Islam by Davi Barker is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates, like Namecheap, Spendabit, and Amazon at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. Or you can shop directly from FPP with Bitcoin in the Bitcoin store. That's shop.fppradio.com.
You're listening to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio with Darryl W. Perry, online at fppradio.com.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. As always, the link will be in the show notes, talking about empathy. Probably don't have time to actually get through the rest of the article, but we're talking about how to practice empathy. Already, first part of the show was about why empathy is important. Now talking about how to practice it. Listen. That means you actually listen to the word. You don't just hear, oh yeah, they're saying something. Listen to what is being said. Take in the words and fully understand and comprehend those words. Then watch and wonder. Put down the phone. Instead of checking Twitter or reading articles while you wait for the train or you're stuck in a traffic jam, look at the people around you and imagine how they might be, what they might be thinking and feeling, and where they're trying to go. Are they frustrated, happy, singing, looking at their phones? Do they live here or do they live out of town? Have you ever wondered if they had a nice day? Did they have a nice day? Try to actually wonder and care about other people. Know your enemy. Maybe enemy here is an exaggeration, but think about a tense, preferably ongoing dispute you have with someone. Maybe it's a coworker in a competing faction for how you should do some critical part of your job. Maybe it's a family member that you're constantly battling with. Whoever it is, you're used to them being wrong and you're used to being right. You tend to even jump to disagreeing with them regardless of what they're actually arguing for because you're on the opposite side. Now imagine the entire situation from their point of view. The person is probably not evil or an idiot. They might not even be wrong about whatever it is that you disagree with them about. The author here says, in my own life, the problem is usually more of a fundamental philosophical difference than about the specific conflicts that occur. How does this person feel about how you respond to them when you disagree? What fears cause them to be tense and hard to reason with? There are more questions here that he asked that you really need to think about that allows you to get into their shoes. And then sometimes you need to choose the other side. Not going to have time to actually jump into this, but again, as always, the link will be in the show notes. And remember, empathy is very, very important and very underutilized by a lot of libertarians. Don't forget, every Friday I answer your questions. Send those over ama.fppradio.com.
The podcasts of FPP Radio are licensed under Copy Heart. We believe that copying is a form of flattery and do not abide by the copyright laws. Those laws serve to restrict the flow of ideas which no one can really own. Copying is an act of love. Love is not subject to law. If you enjoy the show, consider joining the Fans program and get perks like ad-free versions of Peace, Love, Liberty Radio and FPP Radio News, and also get a copy of the monthly newspaper FPP News. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com.